Welcome to the Monday, March 6th, 2023 Board of Health meeting. We're going to start right into the action items because we have 3 appointments scheduled beginning at 5:15. So first item of action are invoicing. We have invoice for Amazon office supplies $21.99, Crystal Rock the water company for $5.29, Jean Marie the health agent mileage and postage for $255.48 and $24.63 respectively. And the licensing we will put on the next meeting with Jean Marie's proposal. So can I get a motion to approve Amazon Crystal Rock mileage and postaging?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. February 6 minutes, has everybody had a chance to review?
I have.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are you Mr. Matthews?
No, I'm George Collins.
Okay. All right.
It's at 5:30.
All right, so we will continue until Mr. Matthews arrives. Jean Marie, do you want to do the health agent update?
Yep, I had to find it. It's been busy, like you guys know that. Site assessments for 67 Folsom Ave, repairs for approval 66 Forest Trail Road, that's on tonight. Systems under construction, 135 Brenda Avenue, 98 Haywood Street, 20 Porter Farm Road, 753 Plymouth Street, 560 Thatcher, 149 Walnut, and 2045 Washington Street. New construction, 1792 Central Street. Food inspections, we had some broken water mains right down at where Pond Street is, right there in that conversation there. We had 7 food places that were gonna be without water for an extended period of time. By that I mean 4 or 5 hours. I knew ahead of time, I knew the night before, so I contacted them and we made up alternative plans. For the coffee shops, that meant getting bottled water so they could use that instead of relying on the water from the town. For Perfectly Flavored, he did all his dishes on Tuesday night and put water in his, got some water out before they shut the water off and used that for serving. The grill decided that since it was a senior citizens day, they would probably not be open for lunch without water. So we all had options and all of them were fine. They flushed the filters, they changed the filters, flushed the lines after the repair, so that we all had potable water that we could use. Our routine food inspections were done at Honeydew Donuts, High-Low Gas, Central School, and Mrs. Better Nutrition. I found her. She's in a sports place down on Oak Street. Honeydew had a follow-up due to a clogged hand sink. It was their only sink, so. You have a variance request from Tatami's. I could not find one on record for the acidified sushi. Rice, the same thing we did last time. So just to kind of close the loop, the variance is before you guys, so we can put that on paper and have it.
And Deng's has the same variance, and we just go through this with them?
Yes, it's just,
Okay.
we couldn't find anything in their record that they actually got that variance from the board.
Okay,
So I just wanted to legally close the loop for them.
great.
Housing on current ongoing concerns for 147 Thayer, and also 17 West Union Street, where the pipes on the outside of the house, the bathroom, kitchen, froze and broke. And the unit has been closed. The budget, 24 budget, we corrected that for them and sent it back to them. We haven't heard anything from capital improvements. I guess they haven't met yet. And you have 2 betterments to sign, 572 Bedford Street, loan agreement and notices before you to sign, and 2045 Washington Street, loan agreement and notices for you to sign.
And it's approval too.
Yeah, and approval. The only other thing is, and I probably should have given this to you guys, we had the dam break, and that's just kind of going, our role in that was A, survey the damage, B, help people through the cleanup, getting rid of wet and icky things. And then be monitoring the insurance claims because they will be coming in. They've started already. We had about 7 houses that have some water damage. The houses down on Bixby Road don't always have basements. They're old cottages right on the pond. So they gotta fix. The rest of that would be cleanup through conservation. It's all wetland issues. It'll be coming in a minute.
Was that,
That will be coming in, that's our 5:45.
okay, gotcha.
Okay. That's it from me.
Okay.
Mr. Matthews.
Hi.
Are you Mr. Matthews?
Yes, I think so. Come on up here.
So you can come up and approach the board, you just need to state your name and address.
Hi,
Hi.
William Matthews, 432 West Union Street.
Okay.
I'm here about a rat problem coming from my neighbor's yard. And I got, I think that photos was passed
Yes,
on
we
you.
got a packet.
Yeah, and, I guess, town administrator finally told me to come in front of the board to try to see what can be done about.
So upon inquiring, the town does not have a rat prevention policy in place. So it doesn't really fall under the Board of Health jurisdiction, so it's kind of in a gray area. If it's a private dwelling, it would be the homeowner's responsibility. I don't know if you've reached out to animal control. I know Jean Marie has come on site and the trash that had been around the property was in receptacles. We had gotten pictures of that. Other than that, if there's no hazardous waste or things like that that fall under our jurisdiction, there's not much that we can implement for rodent control outside.
But, okay, I went by I'm going now by the state regulations, which, when I talked to the state, they said that towns should have to be involved with what the state does too.
That could be correct, but it would be the town, what department in the town? As far as our department for the Board of Health, we don't have,
This is under, Mass Department of, Public Health,
okay,
because they said it's a health problem. And they said if it's a health problem, that means it comes under
the Board of
the
Health.
Board of Health.
So I can have Jean Marie speak to that. She did go out and assess the sites, and we didn't find any violations that fell under our jurisdiction.
Well, they never went in the backyard.
I did go, no, because I didn't have the permission of the homeowners to
You
come
could have
back.
came, sorry.
That's
You
okay.
could have came in my yard, and I would have let you in my yard.
Right, it has to be what they call plain view, which I'm sure you understand, you can see it from the road. At the
How
time
can-
I was
if
there,
it- all right, go ahead.
at the time I was there,
Could you
it
repeat
was-
that, Jean Marie? I missed that.
It's, when you're looking at complaints, you just can't trespass on someone's property. You need to have their permission to go on it. You're used to the housing ones where I have to ask the permission of the
Mhm.
tenant. The same with everything else. You need to have permission, or you need to go get a warrant if you think you have enough evidence without going on the property. You can do what they call plain view, which would be going to Mr. Matthews and peeking over the fence, basically. And the day I was there was trash day. So all the trash was out at the curb, being picked up and being taken care of. I didn't see, when I stand at the front, I can't see anything in the front there. I didn't see trash between the house and the garage, for instance. That was all clean. The right-hand side of the property was all clean. The left-hand side was clean. So I didn't see anything that, using my plain view, that I can use.
Well, the other health department board members before you took over, sorry, and they went on the property 3 or 4 times. I mean, their sewers overflowed like 5 times. One time it was the whole month. It was last summer, I can't remember when the secretary took over before she left,
Sue?
Yeah.
Sue. She went on the property and talked to the woman. I mean, there was so many maggots on the ground that there were maggot flies. I couldn't even use my backyard. And my back door is like maybe 10 feet or 15 feet from maybe where my fence is.
Yeah, you guys are pretty close.
Well, they're old houses, I
No,
mean,
no,
but
we
it's a
just-
nice neighborhood.
I
I mean,
agree
they're
with
all
you.
World War II houses that the vets built from World War II. I mean, They're like any other town, but
Right, they're close.
they've got trash containers out there with no tops on them. And per state law, they have to be covered storage. I mean, you can talk to the state people and they say it's a hard job for them because they got the cities to take care of,
Well,
you know, a lot of them.
And that's the difference. Those laws are for the cities.
No, this is the Department of, this is the state of Massachusetts, not this, this is not, this is not, the cities. They do, no, this is the state of Massachusetts. Matter of fact, one of the laws is 105 CMRs, right? And like if you, look at 410-600, the 600 series, you know,
Housing.
it says covered storage of garbage and rubbish, receptacles, metal or durable metal, rodent-proof with covers. And it says, even by the state law, it said the homeowner or that owns the dwelling has to maintain, has to repay free from all rodents, skunks, cockroaches, insect vegetation, shall be responsible for exterminating them. And it says rats and everything else. But I don't understand how the other departments in other towns, which I've checked, I'm not gonna, you know, I don't wanna throw people under the bus, but when they get a call, they go out there and they go out and they check backyards.
Mm.
I mean, if they hide their barrels out in the backyards, I mean, you can't, I mean, it's
So
not-
I think there's some clarification needed, like every town has their own policies. So the town of East Bridgewater as itself does not have a rat extermination policy. So in order for us to investigate if the trash was strewn across the property and the trash receptacles were not covered, which these all appear to have covers, that is something we can look into and investigate.
Those there pictures have covers? That's,
The
that's,
United Waste Management, they have a hinge lid.
no, they don't have hinges on those covers.
Oh, well, I can see the cover on flipped over.
There's one cover on
Okay.
that. They got one barrel. I've got,
So
I've got
we can
pictures.
go out and inspect that to make sure that the barrels have lids on them and that the
but she
trash
said
is
she was there
inside.
the day the trash was put out.
Right, and so she didn't see any trash strewn on the property because it had
No,
already
but
been
she said the
taken out.
trash barrels were there, but there was two barrels with no covers on them. The barrels, she put the barrels in the street and they get hit by cars.
Okay.
They come to my house, the people that hit them, and ask me if I know, and I says, listen, you're about the 15th person to hit those barrels.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know the town barrels do have covers, depending if she has a private service, but they usually have their own barrels with covers. I don't know who would pick up barrels that aren't designated. So that is something we can look into. We can go out to the site and do an inspection for the trash to make sure it's covered and it's not strewn on the property and there's no hazardous waste. But what I'm trying to explain is we don't have a rat prevention policy per the town of East Bridgewater. It's never been under our jurisdiction or under our budget. So that's, we can't implement something that we don't have.
Well, I'm at the point now that I'm taking decking from a deck, and I had to stop because of the frost, and I'm burying it below my stockade fence because they dig through. Now, almost like 2 or 3 times a week, I have to, because I can't go on the property now because the police department told me I couldn't, because they don't want me getting involved, which I can. I got enough room to walk.
Yeah, the border.
I own enough,
Mhm.
but they don't want me getting involved with these people because they, when their kids were taken away, I took care of their 2 youngest kids, and she took advantage of that because she doesn't like me. And the gentleman that owns the house with her, he wanted to show me the garage because she just had a door put on it because the other one caved in, but it's full of garbage. And he told me there's rats all in there. Now, I don't know what to do. I mean, I go to Lowe's and Home Depot and I buy all this powder and all this stuff that you're supposed to put on the, ground. It's supposed to deter them. And I buy the spray and I spray all the wood down. Fine. They still go make it across. They'll cut. And then my neighbor, he's got them going in his cellar. They're eating right through his shingles. And I got pictures right now, I have pictures of a dead rat right beside my truck. Now, the rat didn't die from engines or anything else. Someone's poisoning them over there. And now you got people poisoning rats, and, you know, you got animals and everything else. And they're going in, and what happens, they're gonna die if they eat one. Because that's where those rats came from. I've seen them in my driveway. I got a picture of one a dead rat from a week and a half ago laying right beside my vehicle door. And I got a picture of the dead rat in their yard right beside her vehicle. And the day the town administrator was out there was trash all outside her vehicle. He said it was 1 bag or 2 bags. I took a picture of it, and it was like 4 or 5 bags. I had to take it at nighttime because she goes crazy. She starts screaming because last time he came out there, he was in my driveway, and she looked out her window and saw him, and he was across the street, and he was trying to take a picture with his cell phone. And she started yelling, and he tried to talk to her, and that was it. That's finally when he said that, I guess you're gonna have to go in front of the Board of Health.
So what we can do is the health agent, Jean Marie, can go out again and get permission to inspect the trash situation. But our recourse on that is to just instruct them the trash has to be covered, it has to be kept in receptacles and things like that. We're not an exterminator, and there is no policy set forth by the town for rat infestation. So beyond that, you would have to go before the selectmen and then have an article presented at town meeting to see if the town wanted to adopt a ratification program and whose
I have to do that,
jurisdiction
the
it
Board
would
of
fall
Health
under.
can't do
We don't have a policy in place for that.
I mean, you can't,
We can't implement it on our own, no.
I'm not saying implement, you can't go to the Board of Health and ask for a rat.
We are the Board of Health.
I mean, you can't go to the selectmen and ask them to put.
We can, but it has to be something that they'd have to, the town itself, it would have to go to town meeting because there's finance allotment that would have to come forth from it, which policy was going to be adopted. It has to be adopted by the town. The Board of Health itself can't implement a new policy
Well,
without
that's
it
what I'm
going
saying, you're
before.
not implementing, you're asking them, because they're gonna go back to you and ask what kind of, how it should be written or whatever. That's what I would think. I know summer's coming, and I can't put up with another summer. You know, it's bad enough with the flies and now that we got rats, because I know every town has rats now because of the pandemic. But this is I'm a taxpayer.
Mhm.
And I've been living through this almost for 3 years now with all these problems. The old Board of Health, they used to come out and they say, when the sewer was overflowing, it's not nice to say, the person who owns this property plays a game that they don't understand English.
Well, that would be a different issue with the sewer. This would be its own issue with the problem with the rodents.
Yeah, but
Jean Marie can go out and inspect the area, and we can go
She
from
told
me to
me
see
she
what we
can
find.
inspect the
She
area.
has to get permission from the homeowner to enter their property.
So to check the trash barrel, you have to call.
Yep.
So you will call them.
I think I would probably suggest sending a signed receipt letter,
Mhm.
asking them to call me to set up a time. See what I'm saying? That way I have proof that they've been contacted and that they have been paid to get.
As long as that was started, I guess. I mean, I've been putting up with this for, I don't know how, well, since they moved in. I mean, when they first moved in, they came and asked me about the trash. I told them all about it and everything. And now, it's just like they have people upstairs that they say aren't tenants.
Well, that's a different issue. We're only here to discuss the
I
problem
know,
with the
I know.
rodents, so we can't really disclose all that stuff. But Jean Marie will reach out to them, and we will do another inspection and see
And
what
would
we
you send me a
find.
letter so I could have my records?
You'll get a
Yes.
copy, yeah, in regular mail though, but I'll send you a copy of it, okay?
All right, because last week she put her trash out after they already picked it out, and it was out front for the whole week. They finally got it this Thursday.
What day is Thursday your trash day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we know if there's anything in terms of the housing side of things that You
That
could
would have,
discuss with them.
that would have to be a complaint from a tenant, and then the tenant would give you access.
It's,
It can't be from,
From a neighbor.
well, if you check, it's not a two-family, it's not a legal two-family.
that's a zoning issue.
It's they rent it out, you might, if you look up their names,
Right.
the gentleman that owns half the house, that owns it, he just left, so he's gone. So I don't know what he's doing. He told me he wanted me to come over and go in the garage and stuff, and I told him I can't go on the property for the police, because they don't want me getting involved anymore.
So is there a restraining order involved, or was that just like a kind?
No, they didn't want me to
Okay.
get in trouble.
All right.
because matter of fact, they asked me to take the two little kids, and because they were in there trying to arrest her.
Again, and I
No.
don't want to dismiss you, but that has nothing to do with the issue at hand. We're just talking about the rodent problem.
Right. No, there's no restraining order.
Okay.
It was just so
So
I
Jean
don't
Marie
get-
will set up a time with the owner, and she will go out and do another inspection, and then if she comes across any type of things with the trash or whatnot, she will instruct them what to do, and that may require a follow-up to make sure that things are
But you
complied.
do have pictures of the trash on the
I
ground.
do, yes. But trash on the ground, a picture of trash on the ground, that could be on there for an hour, it could be on there for a month. Once we go out, we assess the site, and then
And
we
you
can
do have
instruct her what
pictures
to
of the
do.
holes in the ground.
Yes.
I mean, those holes aren't made by plants, right?
It looks like, I'm not an expert in rodents or irrigation, but it looks like there's a lot of water damage as well, so I can't really identify how the holes were made. But she will go out and inspect the area and make sure
Water
that,
damage.
yeah, it looks like there's a lot of water
Runoff.
drainage. But again, I'm not a soil conservationist, I'm not really, it's not my forte. So Jean Marie will look into it and make sure that the barrels have lids, that it's being stored properly, and there's not an excess of trash or an abundance of hazardous materials or anything like that.
Okay, I guess I appreciate it very much. Sorry to take up your time.
Nope, that's fine. Hopefully we can find a solution.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a nice night.
You too. So you'll send them a letter? Mr. Collins? Yes. You can approach the table and just state your name and address, please. So this is the 625 Bedford Street variance where there's an issue with the fee.
Good afternoon. My name's George Collins from Collins Civil Engineering Group. I'm representing John Leo, the property owner. And it's my understanding that the board had some concerns about the site in particular. It's my understanding that there's been some historical flooding on or near the property and that type of thing. And so I'm here this evening to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay. So last we discussed it was going before conservation, and conservation has signed off on it.
Right, they were asking for some pretty severe setback from wetlands, and we needed to have a wetland line, an accepted wetland line in order to even grant those. It's a 6-bedroom boarding house. It's got an existing septic system that is in the water table already, and it drains out to the Matfield River, which is the one that goes, it's down by the Joppa Grill, the river that goes down through there. The front of the property is basically construction fill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not really even soil. But when Route 18 was made, it was stuck there. So the only place we have it is where it is now, in the back. He's asking for some pretty severe variances
Do we know when the sewer expansion goes down by that area?
It's not
Are they-
going
It's
there.
not going down that far, so there's no
And
preliminary.
the sewer is for commercial properties only?
I just didn't know if it would affect the fee.
Right. Hopefully not. Sorry. Taking more of the yard seems to be the problem. Across the street, we have the Joppa Grill, and this is tight tanked. Same soils, pretty poor. Riverbed soils, we call it. So he's asking for a couple of,
So, did I hear you correctly, that it's a 6-bedroom boarding house?
yes, we
I'm-
discussed it.
Oh, there it is, I'm sorry.
Probably in
Okay,
February, remember we
bedroom.
talked about when we were gonna, if, and when we were gonna license boarding houses, this is one of them.
Okay.
I was in there for housing inspection, so I'm familiar with the property. So he's asking for a SIP instead of a perk, because the water table was so high. 17 feet from foundation to soil absorption system, 20 feet required. 13 feet from the soils to wetland line, 50 feet required. 3 feet to the maximum groundwater, 4 feet required. He's asking for a variance to wetlands and a variance to groundwater. Usually the state says one or the other. You don't want to go vertically close and horizontally close. So George is proposing to put in treatment, denitrification system. Cost of this kind of a system is,
With engineering, about 90,000.
yeah, I was gonna say it's probably 75 to 80,000 just for installation. So it's a big chunk of change.
Okay, so in place of some of these variances, you're now proposing treatment?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Which is, you know, a
Clean it
horse
up
of a
before
different
you
color.
put it in.
What, okay, so you're gonna take us through the proposed treatment? On-site treatment? Is that what, am I,
Sure. I mean, I'm proposing a singular system,
okay?
which under normal circumstances, if we meet the 50-foot setback to the wetlands, we're allowed to go down to a 2-foot separation. So we're requesting, instead of the 2-foot reduction, we're asking for a 1-foot reduction.
Okay, so the variance on here, the variance request on here, on our agenda, is the variance for a standard septic.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So now there's a separate list of variances you're looking for the treatment.
No,
Nope, nope, they're all right there.
That's the list of variances, but in this particular situation, as mitigation, primarily for the setback to the wetland and water table separation concurrently, is the advanced treatment system. I actually,
You just mentioned, and again, I apologize if I'm missing this.
No.
But you had mentioned that you were looking for a variance of a standard separation is 2 feet for a system, and you're looking for a 1-foot variance.
Yes, with the advanced treatment, if you're greater than 50 feet from the wetland, you can drop the system 2 feet. Because we're less than 50 feet, we're only dropping it 1 foot.
Okay, so,
So, again, I'm with Rob, this is a little confusing.
Yep.
The variances set forth are for the standard septic, but in lieu of that, they're looking to put in the treatment
Okay. The code says you have to consider certain
variance, right,
hierarchies,
distances.
right? Because he's asking for 2 variances that they don't like you to,
Do
grant,
simultaneously.
which is horizontal distance to wetland
No,
and
you're running.
vertical distance to groundwater. So what George is saying is, he's offering us treatment, so he can at least go 1 more foot to groundwater, 4 to 3, and still, we can't change how close we are to wetlands, because there's no room.
so what,
with-
oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. With your expertise, like,
So we're
break
cleaning
it
it up.
down.
So we're
if
cleaning it up before we put it out.
If we do with the treatment plan,
Right.
that eliminates the complications of the lack of distance.
It cleans it up before it gets into wetlands.
Okay.
So what is, because I don't see it on here, I see looking for a variance where it's a 50-foot requirement.
13 feet.
Oh, I'm sorry,
It's
there
on-
it is.
it's
a-
Yep, I got it,
there's a
I got
separate
it,
sheet.
okay.
13 he wants, and that's kind of a, if you see the plan, it's set. Because it's got wetlands down the right-hand side, there's a ditch, and across the back is the Matfield River. And the left side, I'm sorry, the right side's a ditch, the back's a Matfield, And the left side is this new drainage structure they put in. The
Yes.
state just put in with the big stones in it and right across from the Joppa Grill.
It's like a retention, detention basin.
So,
And
good.
So we feel
we're
like.
gonna have to raise our hand.
I feel like
We
a
should.
mud line, a mud island there.
So if the designated amount of bedrooms was decreased, would that decrease the variance lines? Or is it still the same no matter if
No,
it's
the
6 bedrooms or
variance-
not? That's just the size of the system?
It's just the size of the,
Okay.
what we have there. No, it wouldn't change it. Not to wetlands or not to foundation.
And the Conservation Committee signed off on which component?
Where the wetland line was.
Okay.
Because sometimes they can move as much as 20, 30 feet. You can't grant a specific distance unless you know what that line is. And that's their call where it is.
And the other thing that I brought with me is I actually have 2 other projects that this board has approved with identical circumstances. If you want, I can just show you briefly. This is 28 and 30 Keith Place. This was approved back in like November, December by.
Is that the new one?
Yeah, yeah, and so that's something that, it's an identical situation where we were requesting water table separation reduction and at the same time as setback to the wetland with treatment. Without treatment, it's not, we wouldn't even consider it. And then this is another project that was approved by the board back in presumably May of last year at 1517 Washington Street. And again, it's very, very similar circumstances.
So this type of a treatment system, it has to be regularly inspected
Yeah.
and records,
Yes, an
or
annual
findings
inspection.
turned back over to the,
Yeah, we get them, every 3 years, I think?
No, it's annually.
yeah,
Yeah,
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, part of the use of this product is they have to have a sign, before the certificate of compliance is issued, they have to have a signed agreement with a company, an inspection company. And then they'll inspect it annually. If that contract is broken, they are responsible to notify the Board of Health that that contract has been broken, so.
So just correct me if I'm wrong, with this type of a system, there's a lot more oversight than just approving it and putting in.
Yes, yeah, there's annual inspections that are required by the state approval letter. Again, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, just having a system in place versus the original list of variances on a standard septic system. For me personally, I think it, eases a little bit of the concern, knowing
Yes.
that it's gonna be inspected on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's a requirement by the state to have this particular product inspected annually.
And then this is, Jean Marie, this is more of a housekeeping question than, so we maintain a list of systems in town that need to be inspected. So if we don't get, I guess what I'm looking for is assurance that we have something in place that says, okay, we've got X number of systems that need to be inspected. Those that we did not receive an inspection report for, we have some sort of check and balance, say, okay, we're gonna reach back out to the homeowner and find out why we didn't get the inspection.
One of my mail signed receipts is one of those letters.
Okay. Okay.
And,
And we have these along, those new houses on Central Street down by the.
Yes.
Those are all singular, all these. So they did that so they could get another bedroom from a 3-bedroom.
Right.
Okay, because originally they were capped at 2 bedrooms because of the size of the lot. And they were in an aquifer protection zone. So you clean it out before it gets out into the leaching field.
They're not calling them a bedroom, right? Aren't they calling them like just an extra?
No, they're 3 bedrooms.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah. They were limited at 2 because of the 20,000 square foot lot. So that's why they put in singlets to.
and the key is making sure that we have that
Operating and maintenance.
the operation and maintenance plan, and they have a contract with that operator. Because part of that process is if they discontinue the services or don't pay, that operator is legally responsible for notifying the Board of Health that contract has been breached.
Gotcha.
So there is a mechanism to, above and beyond anything that the Board of Health might have internally, that part
There's
of.
an external check and balances.
Part of that license, of that licensed operator, is they are legally responsible to,
Okay,
to contact the Board of Health if that contract is breached.
okay.
As far as residential abutters, is there any impact if the system were to fail, that they, should they be notified, or?
The two abutters are, one is Busy Bee, and the other one is Commonwealth of Massachusetts, who owns that drainage structure.
Okay. So it's not a residence then?
They have been notified both through
Okay.
conservation approval process and also through our approval.
Yeah, I did notify the abutters for this meeting today,
Okay.
just because I just wanted to dot our i's and cross our
Cross our
t's.
Ts.
But again, this is something that this board has approved, and these are two other examples within the last 12 months that has been approved by the board.
So as far as your inspectional knowledge goes,
It's better than tight tanking, because tight tankings always overflow. They do, really. And it's better when it's in the ground, because it's now in the water table.
okay.
So it's the best we can do in a pretty bad soil condition.
I've done about 3,000 of these, and, this is up there. I think this is the most expensive single-family home septic system I've dealt with.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, then I will make a motion for approval for the variance. Sorry, I'm looking at two different sheets here, for the 625 Bedford Street variance request.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thanks for your help, Jean Marie.
Thanks, George.
Take care, Bob.
George, what troop did you get your Eagle Scout with?
Excuse me?
What troop did you get your Eagle Scout with?
Troop 111 in Braintree a million years ago.
Oh my gosh, okay, all right.
Back in '82.
Troop 29, that's when I got mine, it was in 82.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Troop 29 here in East Bridgewater.
A little too old cards.
All right.
Yeah, then my son got his a couple years ago.
Yep, same here.
We're in Troop 19 and waiting.
Oh, yeah, yep. Okay,
Yeah, good stuff.
very good, absolutely.
All right, take care. You guys have a
All
good
right.
night.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Yeah,
Have a good
Bob.
day.
See you.
Hi, Bob. You can come to the table. So Bob is here to discuss the new relevant code enforcement program that may be replacing GIF with town.
You guys have this paper.
Yes. It'll save in the long run.
I'm from tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I guess some questions.
Mr.
Okay.
Rex.
Aye.
It's good to
Hi.
see you again.
You as well. How are you?
Good.
So I'm reintroducing myself. Robert Bucher, I'm the Shared Services Coordinator for the Halifax Public Health Excellence Group, which involves 6 municipalities through grant funding. Halifax is the host community. East Bridgewater is one of those 6 municipalities, and it's a silver lining of the outfall from COVID-19, really. It's a grant-funded public health excellence group that the state is strongly encouraging everyone to participate in. That's a little background on where this is coming from. So, Relevant is a vendor of inspectional software that we are at the town of Halifax, the program manager I report to, his name is Bob Valerie. He's also the health agent for the town of Halifax. We are going to take on the services of Relevant. And what they are providing is the software as well as the iPads to conduct different sorts of inspections, food, housing, pool, recreational camps, all of these sorts of things. And the benefit to it for the group is that well, there's many benefits really. First, it's, so you understand, it's entirely free to your town and any town. This is all grant funded through Public Health Excellence grant funding. But the benefit is it does allow for cross-jurisdictional inspections, because part of the Public Health Excellence group is to enable health departments to utilize a regional inspector that we are going to hire through the Public Health Excellence program, as well as someone like myself or Bob Valerie, or moving forward, if it's decided that it's beneficial and agreeable to other towns, then you can share inspectors utilizing the same sort of software. And the further benefit of it is that DPH and OLRH, which is the Office of Local and Regional Health, they have new reporting mandates. And this specific software is developed and entirely consistent with all the reporting mandates that the local boards of health are going to be tasked with moving forward. So it's really, it's a proactive measure, but the use of it is still entirely voluntary, and everyone does retain their autonomy as a town and department. And like I said, it's entirely grant funded. So
Bob, on the list of towns here, who is actually already signed up? Who's on board?
so that's kind of a loaded question.
Didn't mean to.
So the 6 municipalities, the 3 Bridgewaters, Raynham, Middleborough, and Halifax. All 6 towns have signed the agreement to be part of the Public Health Excellence Group. And currently there's an IMA, which is an intermunicipal agreement being drafted. And that's going to be like another 6 months, because that's going to have to go to you all and all the other boards, and then through your town councils, and that's all going to be open for discussion and everything moving forward. So do you mean the Public Health Excellence Group or just Relevant?
I guess because I guess just the relevant aspect of it.
So we actually just completed the order template to send back to Relevant yesterday evening I completed that, and I sent it out this morning. So all 6 municipalities are getting iPads, software, and the office-only software for people like your administrative staff as well. But all 6 towns. And like I said, it's entirely voluntary to use it or not.
So to clarify, because Jean Marie and I have discussed this a little bit. Initially, the health agents are implementing this for your inspections.
Our DPH inspections.
Right, and then down the road, it's being presented to the town administration to adopt Relevant for the billing?
No.
No.
So
No, that's a little, it's being split out.
Okay,
Right now, we have People's GIS, and we have not been successful
right,
in doing the billing with that. And the inspectional part doesn't exist. So we have Department of Public Health, which does pools, camps, housing, food, the big stuff we do. And then we have Department of Environmental Protection, which we only need 2 forms for that. One of that would be the disposal works construction permit that you sign. And the other one is basically a field log observation that I fill out when I do a site assessment, where the perk test was, what the time frame was, where it is in the landscape. So those are the only 2 forms we need for DEP stuff. Because in our construction works permit, it says inspections, and when I'm doing them, that's where I fill in where I did my inspections. So that's a pretty easy fix. As you know, housing and food are not an easy inspection fix. And those are all done according to the state forms that we have to use in relevance.
But this is an information update, it's not something we're voting on. This is something you've adopted as the health agents to utilize.
Not so much the health agents, the state sort of
Yeah,
saying,
so it's-
here, we were audited, everybody was audited in January, and we had to go through our forms, and they wanted last 7 years of this, and last 7 years of permits for this. It was arduous. We're lucky they sent someone down, as I will sometimes say to them, I don't have time to spend a week to do this, you gotta send someone to help us, and they did. But they want them all in the same forms now. And I think the federal government's the one that's kind of, because the federal government does food code, which is what we ended up with. So they're pushing it to have us all kind of on the same platform. So this is an inspectional platform, from what I understand.
Correct. Yeah, so, so yes, just like Jean Marie said, so first we went through this baseline capacity assessment. Every town and city had to do it, and everyone realized how difficult it was to try to gather up all your inspection forms and historical data for the last 7 years or whatever. And part of what this software does is, if and when people take on the use of it, ultimately gathering all your data and reporting it to DPH is going to be far simpler. Because it's a software, and inspectors are given an iPad, so you're out in the field, you can fill out your inspection forms electronically, you can plug it all in the office, you can keep it all electronically, and it's all entirely consistent. And it was developed by people who were higher ups in DPH and part of it, so it's, like I said, it's a proactive measure. And like part of what my job is to make people like Jean Marie's life easier. That's my whole, that's what I'm here to do as a shared services coordinator. So this is just part of that.
Excuse me, behind you, Ryan.
Hi.
Who is the IT
Can
director?
I ask
Sure.
a couple questions? For those who don't know, my name is Ryan McGonigal. I'm the IT director for the town.
Hi.
So I noticed that this is a 3-year grant. It's paying through 3-year grants. What do they have plans after that 3-year grant period? Will the towns have to pick up the costs for it?
So, no. The towns, as part of the IMA, that's the intermunicipal agreement that I alluded to, part of that shows that that any town can leave anytime. So no, but also, it's very much understood that this particular grant funding is fully intended to continue on. Anyway, but it's just the first 3 years is guaranteed.
Okay.
But yeah, you can pull out anytime.
Obviously, this is just down the line. If that grant doesn't continue, then the towns would have to pick up the cost for it if we wanted to continue with the program.
If you wanted to.
Okay.
If you wanted to continue.
One of the, let me preface this all. I am a huge proponent of intermunicipal agreements, town working together. So this software can work well, awesome. I'm all for it. One of the things I personally don't want to get to is multiple platforms for multiple applications. Not so much from a management side point, but the public being able to access records and having to look in multiple areas to find things for ease of use. Obviously, it's we're not, the town as a whole isn't happy with our current vendor, and we're looking at other options right now. Do we know if that inspectional reports are going to be able to, hypothetically be uploaded into another database if those inspectional reports are subject to public records requests? I would obviously prefer to house all that data in one location so the public can just see this without having to go to a separate site to try to get that information.
Yeah, my understanding is that your data would be yours.
Okay.
And to manage how you please.
And what's the expected rollout time for from basically signing everything off to live?
Well, we placed our order this morning for the actual iPads and the software and everything like that. So I imagine we probably be up and running and operational with it within a month.
And one last question, and
Sure.
this is, so I know a lot of, especially during like doing like inspectional reports, does the system help itself allow the user to do like offline inspections? Just if Jean Marie goes into an area where she may not have internet connection because, you know, she's within a wall, within a wall, within a wall, she can do an offline inspection and then be able to, you know, when she gets out back out to the internet connection, be able to upload that to.
Yes,
Awesome.
yep,
All right, thank you.
yep, you're welcome.
So, well, you mentioned cross jurisdictional inspections.
Yes.
So how does that come into play? What's the?
Well, so to begin with, so the PHE program, it's still in its infancy and it's developing. But so to begin with, things like right now, Jean Marie could call me, and I could perform an inspection.
Which we've done.
Yep.
Yep.
As the shared services coordinator. That's, you know, so in any of the 6 municipalities. And I've already done that a few times, yep. And, but moving forward, we're hiring a regional inspector. So when any one of the 6 towns is falling short or struggling to meet its quotas, a regional inspector could go out and assist.
Okay.
But then it also, the potential is great for developing like task force, like housing task forces or landfill or, you know, specific groups within the group. So we'd have 6 different departments as well as myself and a regional inspector to focus our efforts and our activities in the most effective and efficient manner
Gotcha. Okay.
in cross-jurisdictional operations. But it's, one of the big things is doing this, but allowing for every town to maintain its complete autonomy and respective authority within its own borders. So it's, the power always remains with the board and its agents. But we're here as a resource.
Rob, for instance, we use it now, we have, the food inspector goes out and does food. And she's been doing some of the foods, I give her like 8 a quarter. You know, to get to the ones like they open at 4:30, we open at night, they're closed Monday and Tuesday, so I can't, it's hard for me to get there. We have the food truck, it's coming up March 28th, we're expecting somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 27 food trucks. Remember that?
Yeah, you were doing that again?
You can send the regional inspector. She fills it out and then sends the report to the 4 or 5 towns that use that person.
So is that regional inspector going to do, will that be in place for this year?
Yes, so that's Elsco Foods, that's actually an outside vendor that we are paying for with the grant funds. So Elsco Foods, they're paid for out of grant funds, and yes, they have already done inspections in Middleborough, Halifax, East Bridgewater, and I think maybe all 6 towns. But so on the 28th, the plan is they're gonna go and inspect all the food trucks. And so this is an example of maintaining your autonomy, but utilizing this as a resource. So Alsco Foods is gonna go inspect all these trucks. And that will, if the town decides, any one of the 6 towns decides, yes, that will suffice as a pre-operational inspection, they'll have their pre-operational inspection. However, each truck will still have to go to each individual town it wishes to operate in to pull a permit from that town. But they have the option, the town has the option of saying, okay, yes, your pre-operational inspection has already been done, so here's your permit. And then that truck also has to agree to, if any town health agent has a particular feeling or notion that they want to re-inspect or inspect further, that's entirely up to them and based on their town's permit.
So at the food truck rodeo on the 28th,
Yeah.
this,
That's what it is.
what's that?
That's what it is.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So somebody from this outside source, you said Alcoa?
Alsco, A-L-S-C-O, which I'm not entirely sure what that stands for. But that right now, that's our vendor that we are paying with the grant funding to do food inspections.
Gotcha. So how many inspectors will they have on site?
However many trucks are there, I
Okay.
suppose. We're still hashing out the details on that. We're actually still working out the pricing and all that, but what we do know is that Alsco Foods will be doing an inspection that will suffice as a pre-operational inspection, should any town choose to accept that.
Okay, and just on the timing, I know you mentioned, I apologize, if I in some of my notes here, but, so the Alsco inspectors, will they be using the new tablets and software?
It's a great question.
And will
I
that
don't know.
communicate back to us electronically that these are?
I don't know. If it's up and running, I would strongly suggest it. That's a great question, though. I don't know. I don't know if they already use that. I don't believe they do. But certainly moving forward, and this is something Jean Marie and I have discussed, once Relevant is implemented, any outside vendor, we would ask them to perform their inspections and fill out the inspection forms with the Relevant software to keep it consistent through all 6 municipalities.
Okay, so the vendor would have to download. Now, what about, just regular restaurants and businesses that we inspect, would that?
I would be going to this form. Are we gonna get the mini iPad?
Mini iPads, yeah.
The mini iPads are like
Okay,
this size.
so our vendor community, so it sounds like the food trucks would have to download and utilize relevant software?
No, they
Is that what I'm hearing?
They would-
No,
they
just
would-
the,
No, okay.
just the
Just the
person
inspection,
conducting the
okay,
inspection.
okay, gotcha. All right,
All of the applicants would end up utilizing that permitting system that you are gonna be going to.
okay.
So
But this year
they
it would be
wouldn't do
paper
anything. It's
permits.
just inspectional only.
Yeah, the idea is really just to make everyone consistent
Sure, yep.
and.
No, it all makes sense. I
Yeah.
just trying to, get the timing down, and then,
Sure.
so at the end of the, once the inspections are done at the rodeo, so right now, we're not sure how that information on which trucks passed or didn't, but let's just assume they all passed. Or those that do pass, how do they get communicated to the towns?
Don't know exactly yet.
Okay, all right, still a work.
I don't know if we're gonna be using,
Okay,
historically accepted inspection forms, or however, we can sort it out. I think it's a great idea to use the Relevant software. If we do have it up and running by then, that would be a great idea. But right now, I don't know exactly how it's gonna be reported.
So if she or they were utilizing the relevant software, they would do an inspection per truck, and then they could simultaneously send that said inspection to the 6 recipients, like the towns involved?
Right.
If using the Relevant
If using the
software,
relevant,
Or you would just go in.
I believe so.
okay.
I believe so. I'm not the best IT person.
We're either good in field work or we're good at. But basically, the way it's going right now, Sandra has already sent out all the applications to the food trucks from last year. So they'll be sending us back the applications filled out with the fee attached. And then I assume whoever's doing the inspections, whether I get down and do them or Linda does them, whatever, you then have their paper form, and you can email it back to us. She emails them back to me now,
Mhm.
when she does our food places.
But
And it just-
with the relevant, if they were doing it on the iPad, I'm assuming, and I'm not tech savvy either,
You just,
one inspection would
Recipients.
suffice, and it would just be like an email thing, like I'm
Right.
sending it to East Bridgewater, West Bridgewater,
Right.
Whitman, yeah, but-
Right.
okay,
Yeah, and that's, yeah.
okay.
yeah. So that would be good. And then we would just mail out the permit once you sign them.
Or email them.
Or
We're gonna
email, yeah. Some of the emails are bouncing back, so sometimes that's, but yeah.
Any other questions?
no, I'm good.
Thank you.
Sure.
Keep us posted.
And just as an aside note, he's available for fill-ins or inspections due to, vacations or what have you,
Mhm.
okay? So that's who you'd call on is.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
always
you
used
got
Bob.
my, you
Yep.
got my number, so. All right.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you all again.
See you
Alright,
later.
Bob, so I know they need the room at 6:30, so I'm just gonna kinda go through this.
You have a variance request?
66 Forest Trail, variance request, anything out of the ordinary with that, Jean Marie?
Nope. They were
Okay.
trying a 3-foot to groundwater, 12 feet vertical separations from the inlet pipe down to 4, be watertight, of course, and perk rate via sieve analysis.
Can I get a motion to approve this 66 Forest Trail variance?
I'll make the motion, but I just have a question before the vote. So who's doing the grain analysis? Is that you?
That's
or-
done by a state lab.
Okay,
Yeah, it gets sent off to the state lab.
okay.
Did you motion?
I motioned, yep.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Food establishments, so Tatami, clerically, we are going to give them the variance for the sushi bar that we discussed at the last meeting for Dangs.
Right, right.
Can I get a motion for approval?
Motion,
All those in favor?
aye.
We have a new practitioner permit for Patricia Pola for body art. All her paperwork is complete.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Installer license, disposal works installer's license for Louis Labate. Is that a renewal?
It is.
Okay. Can I get a motion for approval?
Motion,
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Haulers permit, we have E.L. Harvey and Son and Republic. What does Republic mean, refuse hauler permit fee? Is that the one that we were,
Yeah.
They are the trash haulers of the town,
yep,
but they have about at least 6+ private accounts. They don't have a license. So, do you want to make them pay? I guess that's the question. I feel they have private accounts, they probably should be treated
I
like
feel like, we're
everyone
supposed to
else.
look into this to find out how many they have?
I have 6+. Honeydew Donuts, Dunkin' Donuts, there's a couple of others. But those are forced to,
All right, so I'm gonna separate those then. Motion to approve E.L. Harvey and Sons for their haulers permit. Can I get a motion?
Motion,
All those in favor? Aye. All right, so Republic, I guess the question before the board is, as the town provider who also has private contracts in town, do we require them to have a license and pay the permit fee? Up for discussion.
and that's right now, I'm under the thought process of that, yes, they should have a license, and I understand that they are a service provider, but they're not providing service for free, but regardless, I just think they should be treated like any other hauler.
I agree. I think that that sets a precedence for other contractors that are involved in the town to negotiate their permitting and their fees. I think if they're gonna have private contracts, then they should have a permit for the private contracts at least.
I think my only question is there, any precedent for doing that, or do we normally treat contractors that contract with the town just the same as it?
To be honest with you, we can't find that they ever paid for a permit. We found some irregularities. Some of them were being put under as septics, which is $100, versus trash haulers, which are $300. So we tightened up on those controls.
And there's nothing in their contract with the town, I take it?
No, there isn't.
Speaks to that.
No, we checked.
So I guess I'm asking for a motion for Republic to pay the permit fee per their private contracts.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Betterment loan, 2045 Washington Street. All that paperwork is complete?
It is.
Yep, all you need to do is sign the 2 loan agreements and the notice.
Okay. I will ask for a motion to approve the betterment loan for 2045 Washington.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
BOH annual report and mission statement. Did you enclose a copy of the final
did.
draft?
Yep,
Yeah, we worked these
they're
out.
in there.
It's a
They
final.
submitted it last week to the board.
So what we got in the email is the final?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. We did the health agent. I cannot.
You made some of the changes that we said that you and I
Yeah.
spoke about. Yep.
Annual town rabies clinic is in the works. We have a date.
So the annual, you have that also
Yep.
too in here, so we have it, it's confirmed June 5th, 5 to 7 PM at Station Rock, the COA, rain date June 6th.
Okay.
So hopefully, this will be my first year, and I'm loving it. If the board will be there and join me with Jean Marie. It is Monday, June 5th, 5 to 7.
We do it in the back, kind of out of the basement.
We've normally all gone, I think
Yeah.
last year because of COVID.
COVID.
It was,
Yeah.
a little different.
Good.
Sit there, fill out paperwork for them, say hi, pat the dogs, you know.
Dogs and cats.
Well,
What
cats
better could it
aren't great on the patting part.
Just in regards to the annual report and the mission statement too, we just, tonight I'll just have you sign, and then we're gonna be submitting it to the, Rebecca and Lee, for the town administrator, so those are due.
All right, so just clerical stuff before we adjourn. You will send a letter for that inspection. If you have a chance in the next week or so, can you just reach out to the neighboring towns and see if they do have a ratification
Sure.
policy? I've talked to a couple and they do not, so I'm
I
not
know
really
Brockton
sure
does,
how that, yeah, but they're more of like a city, so,
Brockton's the city.
just so that we can include that information when we respond back.
Yep.
All right, anybody else have anything?
Nope.
All right, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Bless you.
Excuse me, I apologize. Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That will bring the Monday, March 6th meeting to a close.